they've won this division 9 straight years. I mean, it predates Patrick Mahomes. They were winning with Alex Smith still as their quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, 7 years, 7 division titles, 7 AFC championship appearances, 5 Super Bowl appearances in 6 years. Christian, I'm curious just off the rip. I want to hear your thoughts because everybody is kind of burying the Chiefs. I heard John Middlecoff talk. You don't think so?
No, I didn't think there were slander. There's slander.
Oh yeah, dude, there's so much slander on the Chiefs.
That's crazy.
I was listening to John Middlecoff, host of the 3 and Out podcast, former NFL scout, and he made a point I thought I totally agreed with. He said he does not remember a team who has achieved as much as Kansas City and been so disrespected. I mean, you got people out here saying, forget not winning the division. You got J-Mac on the herd saying they're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, it is insanity out there. And it feels like we get this every other year with the Chiefs where they lose a Super Bowl and all of a sudden we're like, Chiefs are done. They're over. They're out. Dynasty's over. It's over. And I'm curious what you think. I have some thoughts on that. You seem to have some strong opinions as well, so I'll let you talk.
I don't understand what this is. Like, I get maybe plotting on their downfall, like with the Patriots with the Patriots and stuff like that, because that's kind of like what they are in their era right now, or they're kind of like Patriots-esque. And I am just baffled by it, because you ask anybody, you go anybody on the street that knows even a lick about football, their top quarterback is probably going to start with Mahomes or like Josh Allen, or Mahomes is in the top 3. Like,
I think he's number 1.
He's number 1. No. Like,
I know you do, yeah, but
everybody thinks he's number 1. But like, there might be some people that are like, oh, Josh Allen, Lamar, whatever. But he's arguably top 3. Like, minimum. He's in that top 3
minimum,
like in the league. I'm just baffled by like hearing that. I'm like, why are we? Like, I get it. They were at 11-0 in 1-score games, which I think they'll regress a little bit back to the means. I feel like they will win most of them, obviously, because it is Mahomes. He is that crazy fourth quarter stat and, comebacks and all that. Like, like he's insane. So I do believe they'll regress a little bit like that, maybe lose a little bit more. I mean, they did have some weird games thrown in there. The Broncos game, they had the weird game
with the Bengals. They had a random the PI call at the end. They got
the Ravens game, the season opener. Isaiah Likely's toe there. I feel like there's
Panthers game was even weird. Yeah, they were 11-point favorites, and I mean that game was close the whole time.
So they had some weird games. They could have lost those. So I feel like that will be a regressing to the mean there. But I mean, with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, it's the best quarterback head coach duo in the league. Now, do you want to question Matt Nagy? Sure, as the coordinator, whatever. I do think if they don't meet their goal this year, that we could probably see an offensive coordinator change, but they're fine. I mean, my biggest concerns really are what are they going to do about their rushing attack and their offensive line. I think those are the 100%. Biggest questions for the Chiefs. So they addressed it in the draft with their left tackle, drafting Josh Simmons from Ohio State. They're saying he's been pretty good in the training camp this year. We all know the Chiefs run a pretty hard training camp. So he's been playing well. And then their left tackle that they drafted, Kingsley Suamatia, that they drafted, he played a little bit of left tackle last year. Pro Football Focus did not have a good grade for him. He had a 37.9 grade. So he's getting switched to left guard. So I'm a little nervous on that left side of their field. We all know Creed Humphrey. He's amazing.
Best center in the league.
Yeah, number 1 on Pro Football Focus. And then
Trey Smith, who got the bag at right guard. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're good.
I get excited about Trey Smith and Creed Humphreys. They're awesome.
And then their right tackle spot, Jawan Taylor. He's still there. He's fine. He does get a lot of penalties. I think he was tied for the most penalties again with constantly. 19.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Like, he's still serviceable.
On that note, I do want to just add, they also brought in Jalen Moore from San Francisco, who he could be kind of that swing guard or tackle, but it seems like, you obviously have Creed Humphreys, Josh Simmons, and Trey Smith are going to be their starters. Those last two spots, it's really between Kingsley Suamataia, Jawan Taylor, and Jalen Moore. It's going to kind of be two of those three guys.
And then offensive line, so one of their weaknesses, have they fixed it? I think they might have, but we'll see with injuries and stuff throughout the season. And then their rushing attack. They were very bad at least they were bad at explosive plays, passing and rushing.
Yeah.
They were ranked 30th in explosive passing attack and then 32nd in explosive running attack. I mean, and this is something we have seen Mahomes talk about a lot. I think we talked about it last year. Like, the Patriots are just kind of boring. Or no, Patriots. The Chiefs are just boring. We don't see those explosive plays that we were getting, in Mahomes' first, second years when he had like a younger and healthier Travis Kelce and a Tyreek Hill. And Mahomes has talked about that. I know we might lose Rashee Rice for a month of football, but he was cooking when he was in there until that injury. Hollywood Brown is back. I think he'll be a great deep threat. And then I know it was late in the Super Bowl and it didn't matter, but Xavier Worthy once the Eagles stopped playing real defense, Xavier Worthy looked really good.
I did want to start off at the top, though, and just let everybody off the rip. Just know this. The Chiefs are not going anywhere. I mean, they're not. They're still going to be among the best teams in the league. And I thought Brett Coleman really put it very succinctly talking about the Chiefs. He said, last year, you have to understand, that was the worst version of the Chiefs we're going to see.
Offensive, their receivers core was decimated.
I mean, Isaiah Pacheco was out for 6, 7, 8 weeks. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, he broke his leg. Hollywood Brown, obviously, you hit on that. Rashee Rice out for a lot of the year. He's probably, as you said, going to miss. I think he might get 6 games. A lot of people, the conventional wisdom is 4, so somewhere in between there. But either way, he's going to miss some time more than likely. But I think offensive line, you hit it. The biggest issue they had was their tackle position. I mean, they put Joe Thuney out there at tackle at one point. I mean, it got that bad. And Joe Thuney obviously is no longer on the team. As you said, we talked about their additions. But this team is not going anywhere. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I saw a tweet. It was they won the Super Bowl, then they lost to Tom Brady, and then they got bounced in overtime of the AFC Championship by the Bengals. That was a 3-year run they had. And I remember I saw a tweet that was like, people don't want to admit it, but Patrick Mahomes' career is going backwards. And I think about it probably once a week. It just makes me laugh every time because people are just so eager to bury successful teams. And it's like, nah, they're not going anywhere. What if I told you they were going to go to the next 3 Super Bowls in a row? How would you feel about that? And really, I know we both believe Patrick Mahomes is number 1. There's a growing contingent of people who do not believe that. They still have him, obviously, in that top 3, top 4. But, I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, actually, maybe it's Josh Allen. Actually, it's Lamar Jackson. Well, I've been saying it's Joe Burrow this whole time. And the more I dug into this team and looked and watched and researched, the more I am genuinely convinced that Patrick Mahomes is still the best in the league. I mean, just dealing with what he was dealing with last year to really tweak his game, and I hate to say it, it's funny that you made the mistake, but it is very true. They kind of became a little Patriot-esque, right? That's been the talk about them, is now it's like they used to be this big, highfalutin passing game, and now it's like we're just trying to eke out wins, play strong defense, and then beat you at the end of the game.
They will, if you let them, they will, matriculate
the ball down the field, which is a great pull because that came from Hank Stram, who was the Chiefs head coach back in the 60s and 70s. So great pull by you. But, it's really Mahomes. And you look at the defensive stats minus Chris Jones, it's not even great either. I mean, their defensive line has atrophied. Their secondary, outside of Trent McDuffie, was not that skilled in terms of their personnel. I mean, they lost Justin Reid as well, so they're retooling a little bit back there. I mean, this team was really not near as strong as we have seen this team be. And despite that, they still went 11-0 one-possession games. They went 15-1 in games that mattered, despite the fact that everything about them would tell you this team should be like a 9-win team this year. How are they winning all these games? It's because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Chris Jones are that good. I really think that this team is about to be even a little better than it was last year. Like, I think they really did a great job this offseason of addressing some of their key team needs. And the last thing I'm going to say before I get into kind of the breakdown a little bit is everybody gets one. Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one time that they can predict the Chiefs' downfall. That they can predict the Chiefs are not going to win this division. It's going to happen eventually. Eventually, they're not going to win their division. It's bound to happen. You get one time, though. You can't come back and miss that and then come back the next year and say it's going to happen, and when it does go, see, I told you.
Well, they're not going to win it every year.
That's my point.
That's what everybody's trying to predict the year they're not going to do it.
Exactly, but as a result, you have all these people who year in and year out make that prediction, and then when it finally does happen, they're going to go, I told you. And it's like, no, you didn't. You don't get credit for that, fam. You get one. And if you get it right, if the one year you pick it, you get it right, hey, good on you. You get to brag. But you don't get to pick this thing every single year like all these assholes are doing. And then when you're finally right, it might be this year. We don't know. Football's crazy. You don't get to brag about it. So anyway, I digress. You hit on, again, we've already hit on a lot of it. The tackle position was their big thing. I did have a crazy stat I wanted to give, though, that I think is just insane. So you look back since 2019, and this is from Warren Sharp for credit's sake. You look back since 2019, there have been 192 team seasons, right? So every year there's 32 team seasons. Everybody gets one season. So there's been 192 since 2019. Of those 192 seasons, when you look at how they rank in terms of their deep passes, 15 yards or more, the Chiefs ranked 189th last year. One of the least deep passing teams dating back to 2019. And then when you look at passes thrown or at behind the line of scrimmage, they were second.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, the big talk has been like, well, we need to pass the ball more. We need to get more deep balls and all that. And I think they, you know, yeah, you can go play this terrible form of offense and still win because y'all are that good. But at some point, you're going to have to push the ball down the field more, and I think they know that.
You gotta stretch these defenses out because these defenses are
100%
too good. These defensive schemes are insane.
It's just too much for every drive. You have to matriculate the ball down the field. I mean, you need some freebies. And yeah, if you're as good as the Chiefs are, you can get away with that. But at some point, you want to make your life easier. And at some point, this 11-0 stretch of one-possession games, it's not going that those margins are not going to be there if you have to do this every time. You can still go 8-3 in one-possession games, and you'll be fine. But that's, you know, when you're looking at the margins that the Chiefs are, 12-5 to 15-2, that's a big difference because that's the difference in maybe being the first, second, or third seed. And all of a sudden, you go from being the first seed to being the third seed, and you're having to play all 4 rounds, and you're maybe even having to go on the road in the AFC Championship. It just makes your job and life a lot harder.
They already got a lot of tread on those tires already.
Exactly. And I am a little worried about this offense. Like, every year we're like, this is going to be it. And I am still a little nervous. I am just not that convinced. Xavier Worthy seems like a stud. Yes. Rashee Rice is coming off a big injury, and he's going to miss some time. So you might not even get like a fully formed Rashee Rice until November, December, because it's going to take him a few games to really get back into rhythm even after he comes back. And Hollywood Brown is good as like a 4th or a 5th option if you count Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco. So I just look at this, and it feels to me like unless Xavier Worthy is ready to take a top 10 like step forward, which maybe, I just look at this team and I think, you know, this offense still could be a little deprived of its weapons again.
I will say I do like the addition of Elijah Mitchell from the
I do too. Good
from the 49ers. Yeah. They did go into the draft and they went and got a receiver in the 4th round, Jalen Royals, and then they went and got another running back in the 7th. So Brashard Smith from SMU. So they did try to add some depth, and hopefully work on them. And we'll see what we'll get in the preseason. Be interested to see what they have in that. So they did try to add some depth, but yeah, I do agree. Their skilled positions are still like a question mark. Is this going to be Travis Kelce's last year?
I think it will be.
I think it will be too.
Yeah, I think last year was going to be his last year.
Yeah, if they won the Super Bowl, yeah.
So, and defensively, again, like they did some good stuff to address that defensive line, but I mean, you look at like there's a lot of splits that show like when Chris Jones is not in the game, holy moly, they were not good. I mean, they were just not good. Tershawn Wharton, Derek Nottie left. They drafted Felix Enudike-Usama, who since 2023 he has just not panned out that well. George Karlaftis is solid. Charles Omenihu missed a lot of time last year, but he's back. They did draft Omar Norman Lott, who, I did not watch a lot of Tennessee football last year. But
grind that Tennessee tape.
I didn't grind a lot of Tennessee tape, but I've heard a lot from a lot of people who I trust that like when he played, and it's a small sample size, which is why he dropped. But when he played, he was a menace. So I'm kind of excited that maybe he helps him out a little bit.
He's a good like a good rotational guy.
At linebacker, I mean, they have one of the best tandems in the league, I think, in Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill. PFF has them ranked 4th, and I tend to agree. It honestly might even be a little low for me. I mean, those are just stud dudes. Nick Bolton got the bag this offseason. And then he does, yeah. Secondary-wise, they have Trent McDuffie, who I think we all love. They did add Christian Fulton from the Chargers. So taking a strength from your rival and adding it to you, that's going to really help. Safeties for me are a question mark. They lost Justin Reed to the Saints, but I think they got 2 solid corners, and I think the goal really is to help it to where they can have Trent McDuffie move back inside because they had to have him play a lot of outside last year, and my understanding is Trent McDuffie is actually a much better nickel player than he is an outside player.
He's in their nickel, but he's also in their base as well.
Yeah, exactly. I expect this defense to be awesome still, like solid.
Spags.
That's what they do. Like Spags is, as you said, is amazing. Personnel-wise, it's maybe gotten a little bit away from them, particularly on that defensive line. But I think overall, like you still have Chris Jones, he's still there, and I think they can be a solid, efficient unit. I trust them. I mean, they've been very good for the past few years now. So I think, as you said, like the big factor is going to be how do they do in one-possession games? Can they be more explosive offensively? And then defensively, can they kind of correct their defensive line woes? But all in all, I mean, I'm curious. I don't even think we need to talk about their ceiling. I think we both know what their ceiling is.
It's Super Bowl or bust.
It's Super Bowl or bust. I think if this team gets bounced in the divisional, we're going to be sitting here freaking out next year.
That would be crazy if I see them get bounced.
But that just speaks to like, if the Chargers go to the divisional this year, we're like, nice, good stuff. Like, there's no even the Bills. Like, if the Bills go to the divisional and lose, we're like, yeah, all right. I mean, I expected a little more from you, but all right.
I'd be disappointed.
I'd be disappointed, but like, it's not going to be like, holy shit, what is going on here?
Yeah.
What happened to the Chiefs? So I think it's more interesting to talk about their floor. Like, do you think fathomably there's any way this team misses the playoffs? Outside of injury.
Okay. I'd be shocked if they had like 2 or 3 wins by like week 10 or something. Like
for sure. That would be insane.
I think the worst, if not barring like terrible injury luck, maybe like 8 wins, 9 wins, like barely scraping by. And it's kind of like, this team could make the playoffs, but again, the only way I see that happening is if like injuries.
Fair.
But if like Mahomes is healthy and Chris Jones is healthy, Travis Kelce and healthy, and they're like 8 and whatever, 9, barely scraping in the playoffs or missing it entirely, I'd be shocked. I and if I were the Chiefs, I would take a really hard look at myself if if our top guns are healthy relatively,
And you're still
um,
missing.
and
Yeah.
you're missing the playoff, then I would take a heavy look in the mirror. But I don't see that happening. Now, do I see them going 15-2? Well, 15-1 technically. I don't count that last game.
Of course.
I don't see them going 15-1, but I mean, what, they'll lose 2 or 3 more games. They play some good teams. They don't have like this weird. They don't have this crazy schedule. I know they were pretty good with their because they had a wild schedule. They were playing games. They were playing games within like 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
days, something like that. I don't think they're going through that this year, so they're gonna get a lot more rest. So I think that will help as well. But yeah, like I said, they play the Chargers week 1, then they play the Eagles week 2 at home. They
I
play the
mean,
Ravens.
if you look at their schedule, like they have obviously they play at Denver, they do every year, and they play at Buffalo. I mean, the rest of their road games are very. I mean, at Giants, at Jags, at Cowboys, at Titans, at Raiders. Like, I mean, those are all very win. And they
Thanksgiving game.
They got lucky because their opening game is technically their road game against the Chargers, and it's not actually like it's a neutral game.
Yeah.
So they even got lucky with that.
Ravens week 4, they play the Lions at home Sunday night. They do get the Commanders Monday night. They play the Bills and Houston Chargers again, Broncos again. I would say that the first half of their schedule with the Chargers,
It starts a little
Eagles,
tough.
Ravens, Lions, and the Bills, like I think those are their toughest games. And then after the bye in week 11,
Gets a little lighter.
it gets pretty light. I think the worst one.
I mean, that worst. It's either the Chargers or Broncos. If you're a believer in the Texans, but
6-3 is like I could see if they lose like 6-4, I guess at the worst.
I'm looking at this. This feels like a 12-win team to me, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think I'd bet the over. It was 11.5. I'd bet the over on this.
I would probably stay away from their over/under. I just don't have any value in it, but
true.
I would lean the over. Same here. Like, I mean, again, what I have here is like if they split with the Chargers and the Broncos, both of them, and they lose to the Ravens, Bills, and Eagles, that's a 12-win season. And like they're probably not going to lose all those games. They might have a bad Sunday here and there. This team feels like 12-5 all the way to me. I mean, that's really what this team feels like, which is solid. Maybe not the first seed, but not bad.
Be up there, dude, just depending on what the Bills and how the Ravens do and all that stuff. But yeah.
All right.